We are on Chaf Hamid Aleph, the Chaz of the Gemara, by the Eisiv Mitzvah Pater the Mitzvah. Chaf Hamid Aleph, we are up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines from the bottom. Last word on the line. So we had a Bekar for Eisiv Mitzvah Pater the Mitzvah from the Shitcha B'Veisecha V'Derech, that only when you're sitting in your home doing your own thing, you're Mechuyev in Kriya Shema. But if you're busy doing a mitzvah, you're pater from Kriya Shema. The Gemara had a question. That's where you know from? Mitzvah pater and mitzvah mehachan nafka. We learn out from here. Mehasam nafka. Well, we learn out from over there. The Tanya went in the Brayso. There were people that were Tamei Meis during the time of bringing the Karban Pesach, and they said to Moshe Rabbeinu, "Why should we lose out?" So Moshe spoke to Hashem, and there was a makeup Karban Pesach, al Pesach Sheni. But the question is, who were these men? They're the people that carried the coffin of Yosef. Rabbi Kiva says, Mishal vel Tzafan. It was Aaron's cousins. Nadav Avihu died on the day of the Akamas HaMishkan, the final day of the Akamas HaMishkan, Rosh Nisan, and Mishal vel Tzafan buried them. So these were people that were Tamei Meis. Rabbi Yitzchak says, if were the people that carrying Yosef's coffin, they could have been mitar by the time of Pesach. That was Rosh Chodesh Nisan. This is already Yudalid Nisan. The Neser Shal Yosef, they've been camped there for 10 months already. So no one was carrying his arms. They had time to be mitar themselves. If it was Mishav Tzafan, it was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, also Yechel and Hayulitar. They could have been mitar themselves by the time of Pesach. Elo, rather, what was the case? They were just people that had a relative that died. Not Meis Mitzvah where nobody was burying with them. No, but they were relatives of a parent, a sibling, that people had to bury. And their 7th day, they become Torah that night, but their 7th day landed Erev Pesach. How do you know the 7th day landed Erev Pesach? Because it says in the Pasuk, they were not able to make the Pesach that day. Bayemahu on that day, they weren't able to do it. But the next day, so they were just people that were Stam Tamei Meis, that their 7th day landed on Erev Pesach, and they felt bad that they lost out. That was the case. The point is, we see from Rabbi Yitzchak that these people, there was no taina on them, that they became Tamei Meis and lost out from doing the Karban Pesach. So you see, Yosef Mitzvah, Pater Min HaMitzvah, a makar from here. So what do we need? B'shitcha b'veisecha, we have the story of Pesach Sheni, and that tells us this idea. The Gemara says, Sricha, you need both limudim. Di Ashmin Hasan, if we only know there by Pesach Sheni, Mishum Dulemat Zman Chiva de Pesach. It wasn't yet Pesach, so they have a dead person in front of them. They have to bury them. It was not yet the time of the Chiv of Karban Pesach. So over there, maybe Yosef b'mitzvah, you're Pater Min HaMitzvah. Avahacha by Kriya Shema, I hear it's your wedding, it's the Chazan's wedding, but the Mother's Man Kriya Shema. Tonight's also Kriya Shema. So you have your Bia tonight, and you also have Kriya Shema. Oh, too bad, you have to do Kriya Shema as well. It's not like the mitzvah's coming up in a few days from now, and then you'll be able to really do both in a way. You're not Pater, you could do it right now, and they're both a Chiyav right now, so you should do it. So Emaloi, maybe you're not Pater from Kriya Shema. So therefore, it's Sricha, we need that Limud. Via Shmina Hacha, if you only know it by Shema, should be like a Karis. Maybe Shema you're Pater, because Shema, if you don't say it, you don't get Karis. Aval Hassan, but over there, by Pesach Sheni, the Ika Karis, where if you don't bring the Karban Pesach, you get Karis, so maybe there you're not Pater from a mitzvah. Emaloi, maybe you're not. Maybe you should not do the Meis Mitzvah, and you should make sure you're ready to bring the Karban Pesach. Therefore, it's Tzricha, both limudim are necessary, so we actually have a full-blown 2 limudim to really wrap it up. Ha'isei b'mitzvah, Pater Min HaMitzvah, we know from Kriya Shema, we know from the Pesach Sheni, we know from everywhere, and that is very famous. Ha'isei b'mitzvah, Pater Min HaMitzvah. Now the Gemara goes off topic to something that I spoke about earlier. Says the Gemara, this is what we're up to, Gufa. Gufa means, let's go back into the guf, back into the body. Let's go back into the body of the text that we were learning before. And what came up earlier was, Amar Abba Bar Zavda, Abba, the son of Zavda, Amar Rav said the name of Rav. Oval, someone who's an oval, Chayiv b'chol mitzvahs amuras b'Torah. An oval is mechuyiv in all the mitzvahs that are said in the Torah. Chutz, besides for one, b'tfilin. An oval is pater from tfilin. Why? Shaharei nemar behem pe'er. Because the tefillin are called a pe'er. They're called like a crown. They're called a splendor, a beauty. It's not proper for an oval to wear a crown of beauty on his head when he is in Avelis. So that was the body of the text that we said earlier. Now the Gemara is going to address, where do we know from that the oval is pater from tefillin? So the Gemara says, Mida Amr le Rachmana li Yecheskel. From the fact that Hashem, Rachmana means the merciful one, referring to Hashem, from the fact that Hashem said to him, to Yecheskel Anavi, he told him, Pe'erecha chavush alecha. What is going on here? Yecheskel was a Navi. I'm glad I learned Yecheskel now with somebody. Yecheskel was Yecheskel here as well. We also have Pesach, the current Pesach. We have a lot of the players over here. But Yecheskel was a Navi that went into Golus when most of the Chashav people of Chayisa went into Golus Yechanya. They went to Bavel. Nebuchadnezzar sent them out. So, I mean, they get a Serva Tevis, by the way, a lot of these things, but we'll talk about that Serva Tevis. But Lamaisa, he put a ton of people into Galus, and one of them was Yecheskel. And Yecheskel was sitting in Bavel, and he was the Navi, which is very rare. Usually Nevuah is only in Eretz Yisrael, they talk about it, but he got Nevuah in Bavel, and he spoke to everyone in Bavel, all the people that were in Galus, and told them many Nevuahs. And it's actually fascinating, Yecheskel. It's one of the most fascinating Navis. He has a lot of these visions. Hashem comes over to him and says, your wife is going to die. Your wife is dying. Why is your wife going to die? I want your wife to die, and you are not going to be noheg avelis. Okay? You're not going to be noheg avelis for her. To show Klal Yisrael, everyone in Bavel, that there's going to be a time when so many people are going to die by the Churban that no one is going to be misabel for them. It means everyone's going to be dead. Everyone's going to be dead, and if you're not dead, there's too many people. There's going to be a time where there's going to be no acts of Avelis for people that are dead because there's so many people that are going to die. It's a very sad nevuah. So your wife is going to die, who you love very much, and you're not going to sit Avelis for her. And I want all of Klal Yisrael to see this so they get the message of what's coming up. That's what happened. So Hashem tells Yecheskel, your wife's going to die, but pe'erecha chavush alecha, your crown, your tefillin, you should wear it. It means don't be noy like an oval. Wear your tefillin, which is mashma. Every other typical oval does not wear tefillin. So that's the makar. Hashem told Yecheskel, I don't want you acting like an oval. I want everyone to know that there's not going to be a velis because there's no one going to actually come be menachem over you. Everyone's going to be dying. People be busy burying the dead. There's no time to sit shiva. There's going to be no shiva. So because of that, wear your tefillin. So back to the words of the Gemara.
She's supposed to die anyways, or Hashem took her away?
Hashem took him away. I think there are a lot of people that hold that a lot of them were visions and maybe not actual Lamaisa. Although that one I'm not sure about. But a lot of the ones, the Yecheskel's taken random places. He has things where he doesn't eat for like days. And he sits on his side for hundreds of days. Very interesting things. And some people say they're just visions, but they weren't reality. Like in Nevuah. This one, I looked it up. This one sounds like it's actual. I didn't see anyone that say just a Mara. But it could be. So, from the fact that Hashem told Yecheskel, Pe'erecha chavush alecha, Pe'erecha, your splendor, which is referring to tefillin, chavush alecha. Chavush means that you should wrap. You should wrap it upon you. What? Yeah. No, so I was telling Yitzi, it's not every time that in the Gemara it's referring to Rachmanas. Overall, from a Torah Shabbat's perspective, the Torah Hashem's called Rachmana because a lot of it is Rachmanas. Yeah, but I'm just saying, so it's the Gemara talking. So the Gemara always refers to Hashem as Rachmana, even if the actual line is not a Rachmanas type of thing.
You think that this is a very sharp.
This is very sharp.
Even in this, there's a.
Even in this, yeah, it could be Tzachama maybe. I don't know, not sure. But even without that, just from the Torah Shabbat's perspective, it's Rachmana. So from the fact that Hashem, the merciful one, said to Yecheskel, Pe'erecha, your pe'er, your splendor, chavush you shall wrap upon yourself, v'gomer, etc. It's mashma atku de mechayev, you're mechayev in tefillin. Avol kulayama patiri, but the entire world is pater. Anyone that's an avol is pater from tefillin. But the Gemara says, v'hani mili, this only applies b'yom rishon, the first day of Avelis. Somebody, the day of the Kfura, they bury the dead person, that day they're pater from tefillin. How do you know? D'chsiv, because it says in a pasuk, and this pasuk is in Amos, v'acharisa ki yom mar. This is also a very scary nevuah. Hashem tells Amos, the acharisa, the end of Klal Yisrael, the end of the situation, is going to be kiyom ma'at, like a bitter day. So it says a bitter day in a singular lashon, like a bitter day. One day is very bitter. What's the one day that's very bitter? The first day of Avelis. It's so bitter that you don't wear tefillin. So it's just the more bitter day from all the other days of Shiva. So v'acharisa, Klal Yisrael's end is gonna be like a bitter day. And that bitter day that it's comparing it to is the bitter day of an Avos, which is the first day of Avelis, where it's so bitter they don't wear tefillin. What? I'm not sure exactly the context there, but the end maybe was the Churban, whatever end it was going to be, it's going to be a very hard end. So that was just off topic about an Avos who's pater from tefillin, and that's Grad of the Halacha happens to be. The Gemara continues. Once we mention Rabbi Abba Bar Zav, we're going to mention more things from him.
Also to wear it though?
It is.
It's also?
I think it's also, yeah. It's also because you're not in the frame of mind, so you're like...
This is not Eining, this is after Kura?
This is the day, like the first day when you... not an Einin, but even after you bury him, you don't put tefillin on right after you bury. That whole rest of the day you're
No, you
pater.
don't. You're not allowed.
You're not supposed to, yeah.
Gemara's Lashon Tiri.
I know, but I think a lot of the things by tefillin, when you're pater, because you're not going to be up to, you're not even allowed to wear it, I think. If you're not holding in your mind, like if you bathroom things, so you're not pater, you're not allowed to. A kalos reish, these things. Right, something like that, yeah. So the Gemara continues. V'amar Rabbi Abba bar Zavda Amar Rav. Rabbi Abba, the son of Zavda, said the name of Rav. Oval chayiv b'sukkah. An oval is mechuyev in sukkah. Now that doesn't make any sense because once it hits Yom Tov, the Avelis is over. So how's it shy to say oval chayiv b'sukkah? So we're talking about somebody who the person died on sukkahs, and he's sort of an oval. He didn't like start being noyeg everything till after Yom Tov, but even at that moment, the halach is he's mechuyev in sukkah. The Gemara says pshita. It's obvious. You just said before about Abba Bar Zavda that an oval is mechuyev in every mitzvah in the Torah besides for one. So why would it not be mechuyev in sukkah? It's obvious, pshita. The Gemara's answers, Mao de Tema, you might have thought to say, Hoyo, since the Omer of Abba Bar Zavda Amar Rav, since Rabbi Abba the son of Zavda said the name of Rav, Mitzta'er Pater Min HaSukkah, he said another line, that someone who's Mitzta'er, is a famous thing about Hilchos Sukkah, he's Pater Min HaSukkah. If you feel pain being in the sukkah, it's raining, other types of things like that, it's very hot outside, it's very cold outside, these are inyanim of tsar. We'll get into the lima, it's going to come up in the Gemara. It's a very famous thing, tsar is pater min sukkah. So you might have thought, since someone who's mitzvah is pater min sukkah, hainami mitzvahhu. The oval is a lot of tsar today, right? Someone just died on Yom Tov. So because he's a lot of tsar, maybe he should be pater from sukkah as well.
Physical tsar or emotional?
Emotional tsar. He's an emotional tsar. He's pater from sukkah. He can't sin the sukkah. He's not up to it. He's not up to it. So maybe he should be pater. The Gemara says, Kamash Molan. Kamash Molan, that he has to sit in the sukkah, he's mechuyev. So the Gemara says, what's pshat? Hani mili, this is referring to that someone who's b'tzar doesn't sit in the sukkah, he's pater, is tzara de memela. When the tzar is memela means it happens. It's sunny outside, it's cold outside, it's raining, these type of things. It's a tsar, it's not your own built-in tsar, it's something, it's an occurrence. A memela means like it just happens. So that type of guy is pater min sukkah. Aval hacha, but here, the aval, iuhu de mitzar nashe. He's being mitzar himself. Right? No one says you have to be mitzar in Avelis.
It's like more than enough.
Right.
No one asks you to be tired.
No one asks you to be tired. You're supposed to be noyig Avelis, and you know Yom Tov you're not supposed to. But you don't have to mitzar yourself.
That's a natural thing.
Oh, it says the Gemara, Iboyle liatuve daite. Iboyle means he needs lay for himself. Liatuve, to calm daite his mind. You should calm yourself down, buddy. Calm yourself down. You have a chiyuv al tzilchus sukkah to calm yourself down. Now, whoa. It's very interesting. This comes out very interesting. If someone is in the matzah of tsar, his own personal tsar, he will not get the mitzvah of sukkah. But it's a problem. He's not pater. It means mitzvah is still pater min sukkah. But when it's your own thing that's creating the tsar, you have to get rid of it. If you don't get rid of it, your taka don't get the mitzvah of sukkah because the mitzvah is pater min sukkah. But you have to get rid of it. I mean, if it's raining outside, you don't have to get rid of the rain. It's not your fault. It's raining, you're pater. But when you create your own tsar, you need to get rid of it. And if you don't get rid of it, you are not becoming the mitzvah of sukkah, and you're not pater either. You're mevatel it
You're
anyway.
sitting in the sukkah and you're angry, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the kind of mitzvah.
Yes, according to this Gemara, the way Rashi learned, the Arishan arguing what I just said, That's the way Rashi learns. Iboyele, you need to liyatu v'daiteh. You have to calm yourself down. Means you you are pater, but you weren't allowed to be pater. You have to relax yourself.
That's what the Shlosh says. It's very bad to get angry in the sukkah. Like he like speaks about it.
It could be. It could be.
This is even though when a person is shoved and then he gives to me with tsar.
You have no chiyuv to be the tsar. You have to act als covered for the mace.
People come to Menachem.
You don't have to be. You don't have to. You could be if you want. You can be.
Just cover that mace. That's what it's about.
It's mostly covered. Yeah. The reason why that is why. Got a cousin of mine. Punkt. Today I was just Menachem Avalim. I talked about it on Shabbos. Cousin of mine's daughter passed away. The kfur was on Sunday morning, and I called him today to be Menachem Avalim. All the avelas is much shorter than for a parent. He's mamish betzar. His child passed away, but for a parent is a longer avelas, and the reason is because it's covered. It's not because of how sad you are. You have to have covered to a parent, so it's a whole year of avelas. But for a child or for a spouse, it's much shorter. Obviously, we recognize a person's sad. There's no chiyuv to be sad. It's more recognizing that this person is gone.
Sad would be their son necessarily. That can be sad, not sorry.
Usually they go hand in hand, but you're allowed to be sad. You're not mechuyev to be sad.
That's what I'm saying. My mother said before that the reason why by a spouse it's like that is because, like he just said, for a child to a parent, let's say, right, the mechuyev to be sad. For a spouse, whether the mechuyev or not, it just happens, and they can't. It's just gonna happen anyway. So there's no point of adding.
See,
extra.
Yitzi's saying for care, you need to help the guy for his parent to have that. For the ones that are closer, it's more natural. You don't need as much. Whole different opposite shot. I hear.
Like, you don't need that reminder. It's always there.
Right.
Right. Somebody's alone. As a spouse.
I hear.
Relationship must be angry.
What?
Are you allowed to make relationship?
If you taka are mitzvah in the sukkah, not because it's raining, you're in a bad mood, and you're upset about something, you might not be getting the mitzvah sukkah because you're supposed to be living there. Teshu came to do. You created your own tsar.
Once you're angry in your house.
Yeah.
Once you're angry in your house. So
Yeah, I
you're
hear.
comfortable there. You're
I hear.
comfortable in anger.
We'll stop over there. Amar Ba'ava Barzah. Shkab. Shkab. Huh?